Hello, everybody.
Hi, guys.
Episode 256. So, what I want to talk about today? So the seminar is in 10 days in Los Angeles at Divergent Fit. We have a bunch of people coming, and one of the attendees will be Mike Westerling, friend of mine, coach. I want to talk about because we had a conversation online, and I thought actually he brought up a very good point. By the way, the seminar will be 10 days. Weekend on the 20th, 29th. There probably won't be an online version because I'm doing the Strongfit system as it is, and you'll understand better as I speak. So as I was saying, Mike Westerling, we started to talk online. We've known each other, I think 15 years, because we actually competed against each other in my first strongman competition. He was Ariza's strongest man amateur. I think at the time he was 45 or something like that,
Wow.
and he still competed, which I have tremendous respect for. I think he finished third, if I'm not mistaken.
That's not easy to do it.
I think he finished third at the competition too, but I thought it was really cool because 105 kilos is not a 105, but at the time there was no other weight classes, so he did the 105. He's a smaller guy, probably a 90 kilo, but I thought it was really cool. But most importantly, he's a coach, right? And he wanted to put his money where his mouth is, basically. I mean, like
cool.
So he competed and everything, did fairly well, finished third. There was a lot of us actually at the competition, so it was really cool. And then from there we started talking. He beat me on the grip event. I still remember. So I was all pissed because at the time, I'm coming from jiu-jitsu. It's like, what do you mean you beat me on the grip event? I still remember.
That's just insulting.
It was. I texted him after. I was like, just know I feel offended. And he was like, you beat me at everything else. Like, I don't care. You beat me on the grip event. Anyway. So we were talking, and again, he's coming to the seminar in LA, which I'm very happy about because I want to introduce him to the Strongfit system. What I thought was very interesting is we actually think the same way. We don't necessarily, our programming is actually very close to each other. I differ on a few things, but really not conceptually.
Yeah.
Just a certain exercise. I like sandbags more than he does, but that's because that's what I do, right?
Yeah.
Even though he's using sandbags and more now and stuff like that. But through trial and error, because he's been in the coaching game longer than me for 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah, about 35, 40 years, I think. And you have to understand, that guy coached Brian Shaw, the world's strongest man. He was the long-time coach of Andrew Clayton, who was the 105 kilo world's strongest man. A guy who did like an 825 deadlift, weighing 230. Yes, weighing 235. And then I remember he did a strongman competition, and the day after ran a marathon or a 10K. I think it was a 10K. So he's called a running strongman because he's actually a runner as well. So big dude, 6'4", walks around 240, 250, but runs. He had a decent time on the 10K, if I remember correctly, too. So no, like very interesting. And so Mike was coaching him. Mike coached, I think, pretty much all the top American strongmen, heavyweight and some 105. So. But by the way, also he has like normal clients, everyday client at his gym. He lives in Arizona. And so he's a guy with a breadth of knowledge when it comes to training people. And we were railing against what we see the same thing on YouTube is people, pro boning shit where you go like, yeah, but your clients are on steroids or, like drugs to make you lean out or stuff like that. It's not the same form of training. If you have someone pumping train on one side and someone who's not doing steroids on the other, the type of training is completely different.
Yeah.
And that's actually what I wanted to talk about, because I was going to relate that to martial arts, but then I realized martial arts in a way has the same problem, because if you look at Kung Fu, for example, it looks great in movies. Yeah, it's complete bullshit when it comes to actual fighting, but in movies it looks awesome. And so this is what you see the entertainment does, is it promotes offense over defense. Does that make sense?
No,
look at Kung Fu movies.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's the podcast today. That's what I'm going to talk about, is offense versus defense. So look at Kung Fu movies. All you see is the guy doing a triple 360 in the air before he kicks you in the face and knocks you out. It's how fast the guy beats you to the punch, kicks, stuff like that and everything. You know what they never show you in movies, outside of a few Bruce Lee movies, but most of the stuff you see just the guy going, pa, 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 like a 15 punch combination, knocks the guy out. You know what they usually don't see? The guy slipping, catching, taking a punch, but not too hard, so he can just clack back. Like a Floyd Mayweather junior type of fighting, which is a master of defense. You can't touch the guy, so he beats you up over time. That makes for boring fights. You know what for example, Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was famous because in his first 20 fights, he must have had between 15 and 17 first round knockouts.
Wow.
He won all of them by knockouts, by the way. All his first 20 fights.
Wow.
But I think most of them were first round. Like 3/4 at least were first round knockouts, right? What people missed is like all the way up to 1984 when he was coached still by Kevin Rooney. He was a very good defensive boxer because he was very short. He's barely 6 foot tall. I think he's a bit under. All the dudes were 6'4", 6'6", but he would bob his head, go under. It was actually hard to touch clean. You could hit him, but not clean. Then he would get in and then he would light you up. But his offense was based on defense, right? And so, because again, I was going to relate training and martial arts, but even in martial arts, you have the same issue. Kung Fu is, because of movies, because of the entertainment value, they always promote offense. What does defense mean? So I got to talk one day with Rickson Gracie, who was the greatest jiu-jitsu practitioner of all time, the leading fighter for the Gracie family at the time. And his main thing was defense. Rickson Gracie, you couldn't touch the guy. He was a master of defense, just like John Machado. John Machado, I put him twice in all my years in bad situations. I didn't say submit him. I put him in bad situation twice. I could never do anything to the guy. Same thing with Rickson Gracie, you would not touch him. Out of that defense, that fucking wall that you couldn't break, came his offense, and then he would submit everybody. But he was a master of defense and basics. Look at when I talk about Elden Ring all the time, or like why I like Sekiro, because you get to play defense. Enough of your defense, you build your offense. You know who understand that? The Japanese. You know why? Because of their culture of martial arts, like karate, like jiu-jitsu and everything. It was, if you get punched, it's hard to punch back. It becomes like, you know, 2 teams of American football, who's going to score the most? It's like, but they have a saying in American football when they say offense wins a game. Defense wins championships. Because what you want is you want to take the opponent deep waters in the fourth quarter, grind them out and in the last 3-4 minutes, it's like, who has the balls to keep going? It's a 400 meter where the last 50 meters, we're going to see who wants it. Because, oh my God, you're going to die. Fights. 5th round. It's called championship rounds for a reason. It's because now you see who the champions are. The 5th round, everybody's tired, everybody's beat up. It's like, all right, well, let's see. So, but how do you build that? And so in martial arts, there is a good coach who will show you defense first. Don't get caught. So survive is rule number 1. Defend, attack. But first you survive, you don't die. Then you start to defend, so you take less punishment, then you learn to attack. It's always been like that, right? In a good martial arts. Now, Kung Fu doesn't do that anymore. They don't play defense, and even though they have those dances, because movies are not going to sell if you show a guy who's taking the beating defense before. No one is going to, they barely pay for that when they watch Floyd Mayweather Jr., who's the greatest defensive boxer that ever lived. And people who understand boxing are in awe at the fact that you can't touch the guy. But that doesn't sell tickets. Mike Tyson does. So Mike Tyson was seen as a brute. That wasn't true. Up till 84, when he was coached by Kevin Rooney, he was actually a very good boxer. Much better than people gave him credit for. Yes, he could knock you out with either hand. He had a monster power. But defensively, he was actually a very good boxer.
Interesting.
Right, so when it comes to training. So when we go into training, I want to go back to a point that you were making, that most people go into training late because they don't come from Olympic sports. They come from, most people start training in the gym on their own. There's weights, and now it's even worse because now there's machines, so you don't even need someone to show you how to use it. All right. So defense versus offense in training. What would it be? So I want to go back to a point that you made that I thought was very good, was that most people start with athletes start with an Olympic sport, and therefore they're being coached from a young age. With what used to be good coaches that at least try to get you to a far level, like, you know, high school and below, like middle school, and they teach you defense first, whether it's American football or soccer or whatever. Like there is defense versus offense idea because you go toward professional sports. And so therefore, I don't see that with training because 90% of the industry is people trying to look better.
Yeah, and that's actually what I was actually
Yeah.
about to say, because when you play a sport, there's a very specific idea. It's improving into X, Y, and Z, right?
Yeah.
And it's a very important mentality because it takes you away from that very self-centered thing that is difficult. Like when you're gonna train to get abs or lose weight or to just focus purely on that, it's a very difficult
when you play
mentality.
a sport, you either win or lose.
Yeah, and there's a
With training, it's like what's winning.
and
then
it's almost like
looking-
macros for nutrition. You know what I mean?
Well,
really the
it's
same
even
idea.
it's even worse because at least there's a marker with macros. When you're looking good, you go like, but looking good is mostly about how you feel that day.
Yeah, true.
There was a famous Brazilian fitness model who was talking about going on Anavar. It's like the problem with Anavar is not just the fact that it makes you lean and stuff like that. It's also because you feel better. So because you feel better, when you look in the mirror, you'll see something better. So the problem is not even that. The problem is when you get off.
yeah,
So when you get off, you might not look nearly as bad as you think you do, but because you feel bad because you're not on Anavar anymore, now you think you look worse than you do. So you thought you looked better than you did on Anavar, and now you think you look worse than you do without Anavar.
yeah.
So
no, totally.
and that's the problem with all this. It's not a 1-0. So people get into training, right? And it's not based on the sport, so there's no marker. They don't have that coach early that they learn to respect. They don't learn to just obey whatever the guy says at first and just learn to listen, which is a very important lesson to me. That's what I learned in Jiu-Jitsu first thing, is shut the fuck up, learn to listen.
yeah.
He knows better. And yes, he had to choke me many times for me to get that point, don't get me wrong. But I finally learned some humility. I learned a lot of humility in Jiu-Jitsu, which was so good for me because it was like, shut the fuck up.
But it's that choking is very important because it also
Yeah.
teaches you to lose.
Ooh, I'm wrong.
And but it's also that's also a very important part of training, that if you are just going into the gym and you don't have that background of that mentality of a sport, you don't always understand that you cannot win every battle. Like it's not an exchange. Like I do this and I get this a result. It's a wow. The way you do it, it's the timing, it's a very intentful thing, and sometimes you, by the way, also lose.
No, but like a gym, if you see, and that's the problem as well I wanted to get to, is that a global gym is designed never to lose.
Yeah, true.
There's machines that you can't really fuck up. It's really hard to fuck up on machines and everything. They feel fairly good in emotion because they're guided and everything. So you do your 3 sets of 15, you didn't win anything, but you also didn't lose. So if we look at defense versus offense, let's define what defense is for training, because that's what I want to get to. But first, let's go at offense. Because that was my conversation with Mike Westerling, was like, the problem is those guys are promoting an offense that is absurd. So the offense they're promoting basically is a newbie, let's say American football, who watches an American football game. He's not going to understand really, or baseball or whatever, like a sport you don't fully understand because you're a white belt or a blue belt, right? In that, right? You know what you're looking at. You look at the long pass where the guy goes 50 yards at the time and then he scored in 5 minutes and you go, oh, that was amazing. You know what you don't like? You don't like to see a running back that goes 2 meters at a time, 2 yards and then 2 yards, and then he gets 10, because you need 10 yards for 3 tries. Anyway, you don't like that, but it's necessary because he sets up everything else. Doing it on purpose, not possible. Like, sorry, I hope you don't hear the noise in the back, but that's why we had to stop the video, because the guy was doing that. And of course he stopped, and then that we come back for the podcast, he's starting again. Anyway.
By the way, it's a few hours later, so it's quite striking that he's still doing
He's just waiting for us. Anyway, so like someone who doesn't understand fully the game, or even remotely well the game, is just going to look at the passes and wondering how come you just don't pass the ball all the time. And if you give that guy the responsibility of calling the plays, all he's going to call is the long passes, because to him that's the only offense there is that is worth looking at, watching and everything. So this is what the fitness industry is doing right now. Is offense is promoted by guys that talk about getting bicep, or look at, I do this, I do this, I do that. Yes, but you're playing with a team of 15 players versus a team of 11 players because your people are on steroids, take drugs to lose weight or whatever, or you take very genetically gifted people and then you add drugs to it or stuff like that. It's like you're looking at those people. They play 15 players versus your 11. Anybody is going to look super smart doing that. But that's literally cheating. Then you're not playing a game anymore. You're just whooping everybody. And of course, it is like when people play Elden Ring and want to one-shot the boss. You just want massive one-shot stuff, a massive offense, because then you feel like a badass.
Yeah.
But if anybody could do that, then no one would play the game because the game would be boring. The only reason you want to one-shot the boss is because everybody else is crying about the fact that they can't beat the boss.
Yeah.
So if you get to a system where anybody can one-shot the boss, then there is no game. Because the game is not offense, not that offense, not the long pass or whatever. So, for example, and this is what you have in a society that doesn't promote ethics and competence anymore. How would I scam people? Well, that's easy. I would use you. So I take you, and then I go, we take now, and then we make you cut weight. I put you on Anavar for 6 weeks. I take you now, which is off-season fitness model. We put you on 6 weeks. We manipulate things a little bit. We give you Anavar. We mostly do the cardio the way we know how. And then I take picture before and after. And look, my program, right, did this to her. Buy it. How easy would it be? I would put pictures of you in the bikini, right? Especially on all the stuff to sell the thing. And I do a promotion through Instagram during 2 weeks. I would sell 5K worth of programming doing that. What I'm not explaining is that you're a top athlete since you're 12, you're excessively strong, you have ridiculous genetics, you're very lean naturally, and I would have put you on Anavar in order to do that while cutting the food for 6 weeks, because I know you can take it for 6 weeks. So we would just drive you into the ground. After that, I would have to let you rest for a month. It doesn't matter. No one knows that, right? I would drive you into the ground, but show amazing results, associate all to my progress, and I would bet on that long pass offense that is short-term progress, that anyone will jump on. You know why? Because you don't understand the game.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have a coach. When you were 10, explain to you, no, it goes with defense first, and then this, and then that's how you play the game. So you're a white belt, blue belt, right? And you're listening to black belt that are selling you bullshit based on people that have high genetics on drugs and stuff like that. People can tell you're getting stronger, but you haven't changed physically. You're the same weight, the same shape, exactly the same. You just get stronger. But what did we say? 20 kilo on your deadlift per year, 10 to 15 kilo on your squat, and we're going to go 10 kilos on your bench. So 25 pounds on the bench, right? 35 pounds on the squat. We're going to try 45 pounds on the deadlift per year. And people are, so on your deadlift, that's 4 pounds a month, less than that.
To me, it's crazy because I've been, in sprinting, I've multiple times in those 9 years that I did it on a high level, I've hit plateaus. So for me to have that approach that we had from the start, actually, I was very, very interested because I was like, wow, we can do a steady progress, but I can gain a little bit.
Plateaus,
yeah. Of course, there will still be plateaus, but to me, it's a very rewarding system. But to most people, it is not, because they would much rather
they don't understand the game.
Exactly.
And because 99%, that was our conversation with Mike.
Yeah.
99% of people out there are selling short-term progress. That sounds a lot better. What they're selling is offense. Right? Is look, because I have a lot of people, they come to me and they go like, how long would it take to do that? I'm like, how the fuck would I know?
Yeah.
But what they're asking me is to scam them, because that's what they see. And again, how easy for me would it be to use Janina to scam all of you about, I could sell a fitness program with a nutrition plan and everything, especially to the women, before and after in 6 weeks. We put her on drugs. We have a friend who offered and everything. I drove her into the ground in 6 weeks, and you would see, and we could put it on video saying, look, this is real. Yeah, it's real. Outside of your genetics, the drugs driving her onto the ground, I will not talk about what I did to her hormonal level, her blood panel out there, what it did to her progress for next year. Like, I would lie about, I would not lie, I would just hide all the stuff in the back. And I would use the excuse, yeah, but that's not my problem. I just showed you how much points I can score. But I'm like, but if the other team score more points than you, it doesn't matter anyway. That's not what the game is, right?
Yeah.
Of course, you want to make progress, but that's not how the game is built, right? So what you all need is to learn defense first, because unless you're on the very, very, very top, where you can focus more on offense and stuff like that, because your defense has been built. Okay, but even those people, they keep the basics going. Rickson Gracie, till the end, never got into fancy techniques. I say that about John Machado all the time. He armbar me from the side control every single time. He once in a while he would choke me, but most of the time he would armbar me. So okay, so he got me the same three technique for like 5 years straight, because he didn't need anything else. But his defense was always a monster. He would study my game, analyze it, break it down, and after that I could never pass it.
Yeah.
That's what the game is.
Yeah.
So what does that mean for training, right? What is defense in training? All right, so a lot of it is sustainability. That 6 weeks bullshit short-term progress. Yes, I can make you make progress for the next 2 months, but who cares if you break down 6 months later and then you quit the sport, or like you do CrossFit and you have great progress for a year, but then you quit because you're stressed out of your mind and progress have stopped. You're not gonna get good over 1 year or 2 years. This 2 years, you're going to make a lot of progress. But to get good, it's going to take years and years and years. Jiu-Jitsu, it's 8 years to get a black belt. It just takes that, and that's something you learn. If you go to an Olympic sport, it's going to take you forever to get good at it.
That's all of this is playing defense reminds me a lot about our first conversations. And I remember you explaining to me the easiest way to progress is to not get hurt. And that's playing defense.
Sustainability.
It's grabbing the low-hanging fruit and do not get hurt. This will guarantee make you progress consistently, which is actually what you're looking for the most if you're trying to advance at something. It's a little bit of progress every time.
Right. And so how do we do that? Because that's what I wanted to get to. What is defense exactly? So defense is that sustainability. Sustainability means steady progress, means not getting hurt, not crashing, anxiety, not getting to you and stuff like that. Is whatever plan you have to be able to do it in your mind for 2 years. If you're going to eat a certain way, can you do that for 2 years? If you're going to train a certain way, can you do that for 2 years? It's not 6 weeks, it's 2 years. Even though you'll change in the next 2 years, doesn't matter. That should be the plan. So for example, sustainability, not getting hurt, how do I do that? All right, so this is where the boxes that I had comes in. First, the movement box, right? So types of movement, a load, a carry, a hold. You have to balance your body, which means you have to do holds, you have to do loads, you have to do carries, right? So it's a movement box I talk about all the time. The planes of movement, no, that was always the problem with CrossFit. You can't just do sagittal, you have to do frontal as well, you have to do transversal, you have to do rotation work and everything. You have to work on your grip, it's very important. Turns out you have to work on your feet because it'll make your hips better. You have to make sure you balance everything else. When we look at energy system and stuff like that, for example, that would be the performance box, right? You have skill, muscle capacity, neural output. Right, so skill, depending a little bit on how you train, with a sandbag it's less. Muscle capacity, we know what it is, right? You're going to have the hundreds, the 50s, the ones. But when we train neural output, for example, and that's I'm going to make a podcast on that, is we all know what painful training is, but there is a difference between your heart beating fast and your heart beating hard.
So explain
pumping
that,
blood. So beating fast is simple, right? It's more beats per minute, but beating hard means pumping more blood out of the heart. You know that feeling about beating fast, and you can feel that. Hard is when you feel your heart is going to pop out of your chest. If you don't know that feeling, you're not training hard enough. You want to know that feeling? It's simple. Is you take a sandbag front squat, heavy, and you do 12 to 15 reps. When you drop the bag, your heart rate is high, but not that high. But it's pumping so much blood because your core had to work so hard, all that stuff. That's the feeling I'm talking about. Neural output comes from your heart beating hard, not fast. There's a lot of science behind that I don't want to get into, but that's the second hierarchy I talk about all the time. Whenever you pump blood harder out of the heart, it actually signals to the body a lot of things. And if you know me from the other podcast, there's a link between the heart and the sense of self and all of that. So a lot of it in that neural output thing is going to be not just your heart beating fast, it has to beat hard. And that's why I do the sprints uphill, because my heart beats harder. If I run on the sand flat, my heart beats extremely fast. When I go uphill, because of what is required, the blood I have to pump because of the posterior and everything, my heart beats hard. And I found that superior training.
So do you find that your heart beats harder when you go more into muscle capacity in combination with conditioning versus just body weight conditioning?
Right, which is why I think CrossFit works better.
I see.
Because
what you're
at
saying.
first your heart beats extremely
You're doing
hard
cardio with
because
load.
you're doing cardio with load. And then after 2 years, you're starting to go for volume for many different reasons we talked about. And now you're going toward your heart beating fast instead of hard. And I think this is where you lose stuff. You're trying to get away from comfortable. You're not learning skills anymore. So the performance box is dropping. Skill is down because you know most of the skill. Now you're better at it. And neural output is down. So now everything is muscle capacity. And the box shrinks. And now you have a balancing problem. So what you've done is, at the 2-year mark for CrossFit, you went from playing defense, working on your sustainability, the S pyramid, the movement box, the performance box, and you move toward offense. Let me get a better score at that particular workout, regardless of how I move, because now I have enough skill that I can get away with it.
Yeah.
But what you've done now is you're betting on offense. A better score will make me win games. Not if the other team scores more than you.
Yeah.
So that means that when it comes to your body keeps the score within itself, pun intended. But so there's always a defense versus offense being played. But you have to understand that in today's world, with the coaches you see and everything, people only sell offense, especially women. They come to you and they go, if I'm going to put my energy into this, I need to know it's going to work.
Oh, yeah.
They need to know for sure, to have the certainty that the program is going to work. I'm like, if you come to me, that means you trust me. That means, but they want a proof. I'm like, and the proof has to come within 2 weeks. So you want me to make, so it's, imagine if a guy comes in saying, I've trained 2 days, I look in the mirror, when is the change going to come? That would be stupid. Women come to, and they phrase it differently, but it's the same idea. It's like, yeah, but I'm in my head and everything. It's like, yes, you want to make sure that the effort that you put is going to get results. It will, but I got news for you. Not as fast as you think, because you don't know the game.
Yeah, well,
so what you're asking me to do is to program a long pass on every play. Because if that pass connects, then you've gained 50 yards instead of doing 5 yards at a time by using the running backs and then doing this and then doing that. What they don't understand, because they don't understand the game, is that if I only pass like that, the defense will adjust and none of those passes will ever succeed. And that's what we see with programming. So what they do is they sell you a 6-week stuff based, again, on a scam that I could run extremely easily with Janina and get results like you can't even fathom. She will look like a fitness model 2 weeks out of a prep very easily. Why? Because we got already 4 pictures and nothing else.
Yeah.
But what you will not understand is it would take her weeks and weeks and weeks to recover. We fucked up all of her progress in the next 6 months. She's going to burn out. All that for a very unethical practice, which is most of the fitness industry right now. They are not showing you defense anymore because they know you are white belts and blue belts and are easily enthralled,
manipulated
by miracle workers and incantations singers. That's the post from Marcus Aurelius I put for that reason exactly, is those are miracle workers, those are this. And when I say incantation singer, like the way he was talking, like to chase away demons and everything, understand that's exactly what's happened. In Brazil here, we have Wednesday exorcism. I talked about it. Like literally at the church, right over there, they do exorcism every Wednesday where they take the bad spirit away from blah, 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 blah. And it's going to make you smile and we all go, ha, 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 ha. That's exactly what they're doing to you with selling those 4 to 6 weeks progress. It's I have a miracle cure. Like, go on the thumbnail now on YouTube and you have eat that food. Literally, I just saw that today. Eat that food and the fat fat will melt away. No, it won't. No, it won't. No, it will not. And if they show you study or whatever, they're not telling you the background of the stuff and stuff like that. But if you eat one food, no, the fat won't melt away. You know what? When the fat is going to melt away, when you change your lifestyle, when you eat correctly, when you start training, you want to start morning, when you make the effort to change your lifestyle, not before that.
And not just 6 weeks before your vacation. Like, it's something that you need to learn. I think it goes far beyond just being lean and everything. It's about making sure you take care of yourself year round. That's how the way I look at it. You need to create healthy habits for yourself that are sustainable, that you also can pass on to your, for example, your other family members and whatever. Because I think, to me, it's the same thing as table manners. You need to learn how to go about your diet and your exercise. And
we were talking about that with Mike. Is our frustration being coaches for a long time in the industry is the fact that right now everything is geared towards selling that long pass, right? That is going to impress people that don't understand how the game is played. And the problem is those coaches that say, oh, look, I'm only going to program long passes because that's what people want to see. It's like, yes, and they'll destroy the game by doing that. Because, but in order to win at first, I'm going to put 15 players versus your 11. Yeah. It's like, right, but like anything else, at some point, the other team is going to figure it out. He's going to put 15 players on the field as well, and then he's going to defend against the long pass. And now your progress will mean 0. Oh, I lost 10 pounds. Yes, and you gained 15 back, and that's Ozempic, right? Yeah, but look, I have Ozempic now. Yes, until Ozempic kills you or stop your stomach from functioning, or you have other issues that you have to stop, or you can't even taste food or whatever. But it doesn't matter because the next 4 weeks have allowed me to get where I wanted. Yeah. So, right, but why are we allowing white belts and blue belts to decide how the game is programmed? Yeah. I'm sorry, but this is where martial arts was important. When I was a white belt and a blue belt, I wanted to do what I wanted to do because I thought jiu-jitsu was a certain way because I was so fucking hard-headed. You know what happened? I got choked 3,000 times until I realized, well, that doesn't work. Yeah. I mean, I realized before that, but I got my ass beat by everybody and I realized, all right, I need to learn how this works. So I started to do what was necessary to do. I started to learn the technique from people that already been there, knew better than me because they were not a white belt and showed me, no, that is the technique. And at first I was like, no, it's not. And then my way didn't work, their way worked. So I had to learn humility. What the fitness industry is doing right now is, and this is a society away from competence and refusing to teach the lesson of humility of, no, this way doesn't work. I'm sorry, you're a white belt. Yeah. And so this is the thing with like getting in shape and everything, because we have that conversation with my daughter all the time. She's trying to cut corners. She wanted to do 10 minutes on the Stairmaster. I was like, honey, you're built like me. Let me show you this. I made her run uphill. She made it halfway through, but she felt pumped for an hour. That was a good feeling. And by the way, that pump for an hour means her body is going to work harder than after the 10 minutes where she's really not doing anything, right? Why? Because she doesn't know any better. Yeah. So it takes me a talk every single day, but also because TikTok and everything, humility is a problem. So it sells very poorly for me as a coach to try to teach people the humility they need to learn so they understand how to do things. Yeah. So this is why I promote sandbags all the time, is because guess what the first thing is that a sandbag teaches you? Humility. Because I got news for you. Power clean a sandbag, try to do a front squat. You think you're a badass, you're going to figure it out real fast that you're not.
Yeah, I think the sandbags might be the only real way to go about it, and besides maybe jiu-jitsu, to teach adults that humility. And
I think so. I think that's why I promote jiu-jitsu for everybody.
And going back to programming for women, because I think it's interesting, is women are always talking about like accepting themselves the way you are. If you work really hard, I'll give you the secret to being confident. Yeah. Work really hard and consistent, because you know that you earned it. Yes. If you do a 6-week crash diet, you will be insecure, because you know why? You know that's not you.
No, plus it's coming back up.
Yeah, exactly. So you know it's not going to last. So you should be self-conscious, because that's not the body you earned. Yeah. And that's the only thing that sports, I think that's the only way you can be really confident as a woman, whatever that means, is if you earn your way through year round, put in the work, and then even if you don't maybe think you look the way you always want, because no woman looks the way they want, news break, everybody, there's no such thing, this doesn't exist. That's the only way you will be self-confident year round. That's the only way. And your body will showcase what you do. The way you live showcases in your body. The quality of your skin. Botox cannot change that. If you eat healthy, you work out, and you sleep, and you drink correctly and everything, you will look much better.
At the end, yes, all this is true. But at the end, for me, and because, again, like we looked at Mike from a different perspective of how much the coaching side is a mess right now.
Yeah, corrupted.
Oh, so corrupt.
Yeah.
And the problem is, YouTube is mostly a male audience. So that means that...
Oh, is it? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, TikTok is women. YouTube is mostly men.
Really?
Yeah, it's like 70% men, I think. So whenever it comes to bodybuilding, getting muscle and everything, that's the only space there is YouTube. So YouTube is thumbnails, short videos and everything. And it's short-term offense, long passes to people that just don't understand how this works. And again, who wants to hear, well, run a running back for 2 plays, just get 2-3 yards at a time, set up for the fourth quarter, take them into deep waters and drown them.
Yeah.
Who wants to hear that all year long? Like I see people that use the sandbag. They do 10-minute workout, 20-minute workout with a 30-pound sandbag. And I'm like, no.
Doesn't work that way.
This is the bullshit with a 400-meter or a 1 kilometer farmer's carry. I'm like, it's not a farmer's carry. You're not even working your grip. You're working your fingers maybe a little bit. Your heart rate is beating a little bit fast. But let's be honest, it's not beating hard. There is a difference between hard and fast. Fast heart rate it's not that hard. Hold your breath. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's really not that hard. But that's not beating hard. It's just beating fast. There's a difference there. It's very, very simple. It's a first hierarchy, the speed of it. Pumping blood because there's an effort required. That's a whole different ballgame, right? So it's that bullshit 1K farmer's walk. It's the 30-pound sandbag. It's all of that. No, you're avoiding playing defense. Playing defense is sustainability. It's working the neural output as much as the muscle capacity. It's all that is the S pyramid. It's your structure. It's what allows you to make consistent progress without getting hurt, getting stronger every year so that in 5 years and that requires a huge amount of grind work that is extremely uncomfortable that will teach you humility. Most people out there, what they need to do first is learn humility. Yes, it's awesome that we all can carry a 100 kilo sandbag for eggs and everything. Look, and that's cool. I posted too and everything. But you also have to be able to do. Can you still do the 5-minute workout with a sandbag? Do you do it on a regular basis? If you post the sandbag once a year because you did it, no, that's not what the work is.
Yeah.
Posting a sandbag heavy carry once a year because you feel good that day or whatever. No, it's not that. You don't get to do the sandbag every 2 weeks, and so I do sandbag workouts or do it, but do it with 30 pounds for like 20 minutes and everything. This is not the stimulus that will allow you to build your defense. You need to play, you need to learn defense. Defense is, there's always a grittiness to defense. You'll notice in any, who are the toughest people, even in soccer, like the land of wusses, right? Who are the toughest people? Defenders. They're the physical one who will just, do the nasty plays and everything. The fancy guys, they're in front. Those are the fast ones. The flashy ones, they're always in front. The defender, they're the one, they stop you. American football, they say championship is won on defense, but those are the guys who just take your head off. The tough dudes, they're the linebackers. They'll just take out anybody that moves.
Yeah.
Those are your really, like, the people where you were like, I don't want to meet you when you're angry. Those are your linebackers, because or like the big tough guys. Any sport almost is defense. You have jiu-jitsu, you see that. You have all the fancy guys and the technique and everything. Yeah, but who whooped everybody? Rickson Gracie, who was a defensive-minded. Yeah. I talked to a lot of people who did private lessons with Rickson Gracie. All he taught was defense at first. But those guys, you could not submit.
Oh my! But that actually, that's
those dudes, you could never submit those guys.
That's actually a very interesting way of looking at it, because that's really how you how you start with a client who the Strongfit way. You start with teaching them defense.
Yes.
How are we not getting hurt? How do we build a structure that allows you?
How do we train hard?
Exactly. Exactly. But structural, mental, and physical that is resilient enough to build on top of the wider the base, the higher the pyramid.
We talk about resilience for anxiety and everything. That's what defense is. Defense is
I love the way you phrase that.
Yes.
I really like the angle you take on that, because that's a very good angle.
Because I was thinking about it even when it came to martial arts. And honestly, it's not my view. It's the Rickson Gracie. It's when I fell with John Machado where I couldn't do anything. None of my stuff worked. I couldn't even set it up because he would stop me from setting it up.
Yeah.
So I had my half guard. That was my thing. Yeah, except he never went into my half guard. He never let me get the half guard ever. But once he figured out I was good at it and he couldn't, I could sweep him from my half guard, he never let me have it ever after that. I was like, well, that's not fair. Because now I have to learn something else. He was like, yeah, exactly. But then when I went on the attack, he would just do this and this. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. There's nothing I can do. His defense and Rickson Gracie was even worse. It's just like, so Jean-Jacques was a machine gun. He would just shoot, attacks from everything. But if you could slow him down, he was in trouble, right?
Because he wasn't offensive.
Yeah, he was so offensive and everything. So the downside with that is they had to be continuation on the offense. If you made him play defense, that was hard. So at least there was a way. With the good defensive guys, you always feel like there's nothing you can do. You have to, it's a grind. It's going to be a tough, when you face defensive players, oh my God, they're going to take you into deep waters.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to want it more than them. It's La Fontaine, the first guy to beat the 4-minute mile. And he was like, you might beat me, but I'll make you bleed.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to bleed to do so. That's what defense is. You might be better than me, but you're going to have to bleed to do so. It's the same thing. Like, you can carry a 300-pound sandbag. I don't care who you are. I'll respect you because I know what the sandbag did to you on the way to the 300.
Yeah.
And now you can be a badass. Like, and by the way, it's not 300 pounds. It's, I don't care, 200 pounds. If you power clean at 200 pounds, you're a badass. You carry a 250, you're a badass. Anyway, but because I know that to get to that number, you had to start with a 160, and the 160 was just so uncomfortable at first. Your back blew up. You had to learn to move correctly. And again, the sandbag, you will do what the sandbag tells you instead of a barbell and stuff like that. And this is why people like machine, because they don't want to learn the game. They just want a long pass that allows them to score. They just want to one-shot the boss on Elden Ring, not understanding that is not the game. The only reason you want to one-shot the boss in Elden Ring is because everybody else is struggling. So you want to be the one person who doesn't struggle. So it's an ego trip.
Yeah.
You just want a cheat code. Someone to explain to you what is the cheat code to have max offense to beat the game that everybody struggles against. Do you understand how this is not about you anymore and how this will not help you? Because you've never learned the game.
Yeah.
Therefore, do you know what the problem is because you never learned the game, you'll never enjoy it.
And that is very good. I love that phrase because I learned that really in my practice and everything. Because when I started to sprint after 3 months of doing track, I did my first competition, and in a way that was the worst thing that I could do. Winning that national after starting 3 months in. It corrupted my brain that I never actually reached the potential that I could have reached with sprinting. Enjoy sprinting. I still have a tremendous love for it, but it doesn't have the same love because I didn't earn anything.
You probably love it more now than you did
then. I love sprinting. I love sprinting more now than I ever did. Even when I was first starting off, when I quit track and when I started to lift weights, I really wanted to compete, and I remember making a promise to you that I would wait 2 years, because I really learned from that experience is that you have to earn your way through it, and you need to build a foundation, and you need to find the love for it. And if you find the love for it and you commit for it after 2 years, now you can compete. But before that, you cannot earn in your chips because you haven't built a structure for it. So that's a very, very important part. if you corrupt yourself by competing too soon or cashing in the chips too soon, like going for that PR, even though you know you have not built a structure to do that heavy carry, or you're going to pay for it later. Doesn't matter if it's physically, it will corrupt your
the
brain.
problem is most people are not in that phase of, I want to. This is the problem with the fitness industry. Is the fitness industry was built on first sports. So we're going to compete. We're going to see if you suck or not. There was a humility built in, and then how do I get better? But then here comes bodybuilding in the 70s, where the only reason you're doing it is to look good.
Yeah.
Right. So now it's not a sport anymore. I mean, it is when you're a pro, right? But you have to have the right genetics. They use that, and to most people, the only thing that matters about that is, oh, it's going to allow me to lose 10 pounds, or to have a little bit more abs, or to have more bicep, to look nice in a shirt, or whatever. And so most of those people will go like, yeah, but I don't want to compete. I just want to be a little bit healthy. I hear that with all the time. It's an argument so they don't have to commit to the thing, so that they don't have to learn defense. And to a degree, I don't respect it, but I understand it, because they just don't want it. They don't care. They want to lose 10, 20 pounds because they want to be a little bit healthier. They want to look a little bit better. They're always in the center. This is what the man in the arena speech was about. The critic. It's not the critic that counts, but the man in the arena. You know, among those timid souls that will never know neither defeat nor victory.
I remember this.
This is most people. They will never learn experience defeat nor victory, because they are those timid gray souls that stay in the middle always. My biggest issue is we have coaches now that are selling offense to them, saying, hey, you can look like that, which is a complete lie. No one will look like that with that mindset of, I just want to lose 10 pounds, I want to look a little bit better. Then that's all you're ever going to be, is right in the center, and you'll never move much up or down. If you want to get good, then you're going to have to learn humility and commit. And the higher the highs, the lower the lows. That's just how this works.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So most people will never 100%. Get very high because they don't want to get very low. But now we have an entire industry that is selling to those people that they can reach them to the highs through a short-term process that is based on a very unethical system, that is a plain lie, where you take professionals, extremely gifted, then you add drugs to that, you add a program that is designed just to design them there without explaining any of the consequences, and then you tell those people that I will always be in the center that they can achieve, maybe not as high, but higher by following that bullshit thing. That's where Mike and I were talking about it. That's why we were so angry about. If you do not want to stay in the center, the first thing you do is learn defense. So you didn't start when you were 10, right? Better start now. Better than never, anyway. But understand something. The only way forward is learning defense. Always. So you just want to lose 10 pounds, yeah? Then you don't listen to me anyway. So this is not our crowd. So that's what kills me with YouTube and everything. It's like, I'm in a crowd of people I don't belong to. I'm in a field I don't belong to. None of the people listening to this will be like, I want to be in the middle. I just want to lose 10 pounds. I don't want to commit to anything. They're like, all right. So to my people, it's learn defense. But that also means stay away. Understand what you're looking at now when you look at YouTube, when you see coaching today. You're seeing a high-powered octane offense based on pros that have 15 men on the field. That's what you're looking at. Anybody with that looks really smart. This is, science-based and everything. Bullshit. No, it's not. It absolutely is not. But that's the thing, is they take pros, 15 men on the field, and they look a certain way, and now they look very smart. This is not the way for you forward. The way forward is the Rickson Gracie way, is learn defense, learn to grind, learn to take people in deep waters, fourth quarter, learn your output, sustainable training, get hurt as little as possible, No, don't use food to gain muscle or lose weight. Use training to do that. Everything else is stable, sustainable, grind, hard workout.
Earn it.
That's what. And you will have the result based on your genetics, not based on their promise. Or go on drugs, and then you barely need to train anyway. Up to the moment where you start making progress. And now what? So now you're going to have to learn defense. Or you use more drugs. Fine. Use more drugs, get more progress. All the way to the moment where progress stops. So now what? Now you're going to have to learn defense. Because you can't take more drugs anymore, because now your system is starting to bitch about all the shit you're putting inside. So now you have to get off drugs. So now you're taking 17 steps back, and you still have to learn defense.
Yeah. And even though...
Now it's a bitch.
Yeah. What I really like, and I mentioned actually this, I think on the last podcast or for a few podcasts before, is that thing that Tate always says about learn, practice, and then also teach other people, right? And a lot of our people are coaching and are already doing that because it's their job. But the important part of that is would you teach someone else to go on a bunch of drugs, or would you teach someone else all the fundamentals that you learn? Because it's a very important part that I'm discovering now that I'm teaching sprinting more and more. It's like, oh, that advice I would not give to someone else, even though I might have done it.
No, drugs.
No,
she's talking about the drills.
About the drills, or
it sounds like you're talking about drugs. She's not on drugs, so she's not talking about that.
I'm definitely not on drugs. I mean, about some of the things that training practice or whatever is like, I think it's an interesting filter to put your things through. Is like, whatever you're doing, would you teach it to someone else? Is it valuable material that you're practicing right now?
No, but plus, like, teaching the drills, like, for people. So, for example, is like, yeah, but not teaching advanced drills, because, again, the biggest problem you see everywhere is always the same. Is you have black belts treating white belts like they're brown belts.
Yeah, that too.
So you're not as good as a black belt, but you're still a brown belt. You're great, right? That's what we say. Oh, you're great. You're awesome. You're fine the way you are. But here is you go the next level. Yeah. So we are treating white belts as brown belts. The problem now that our coaches face is like, they have a gym, they have a business to run, and people walk in the door saying, I'm a brown belt, because they were given a fake brown belt by some scam artist. And now you come to my gym and you get tapped by the blue belts. So now you feel bad, and now you don't want to come back, and I've lost a client. And that's what we see right now. And that's my problem with those fucking scam artists, is they make the job of people like me, like Mike and everything, so much harder, because I'm going to have to program deload for you for like 3 weeks and everything. And people are like, well, I don't want to do that. Like him, he told me in 6 weeks I could do that. Yes. And then a year from now, you're done. But it doesn't matter. He has a client for 6 months to a year. And that client is going to go there because me, I have a 2-year plan or a 5-year plan or whatever. Like for you, we're going to take you to the worlds. But a guy could make you have a 220 deadlift in 6 months. Right, except that's as far as you're going to go, because you're going to break and you'll be done with it. Whereas my way, we're going to get to 240, we're going to get to 3rd place at the Worlds and everything. But it takes time, and maybe not this year, because this year something happens or that, or you get pregnant or whatever. I'm like, I don't care. We're going to try to make you reach your potential, but it will take the time it takes. It's like, how long does it take? As long as it takes.
Well, we only have been at it for 3 years. We have still like a lot of time ahead. But it doesn't matter.
If I had put you in the hands of some people, you would have made more progress the first 2 years.
Yeah, I know.
But now you would have quit, and you would do something. Now you'd be doing CrossFit. Because you would have quit. And
worse, if I would have quit this second sport that I'm really committing to, right? Yeah. I would have probably... It's another really bad breakup. You can only commit so many times. You should really consider who you're...
I can tell you, there's some coaches the first 2 years that would have made you make more progress than I did, because I spent the first 2 years building your structure, playing defense, teaching you how to lift, teaching you how to train, learning your body signals, which you still suck at, so you never know when you're exhausted, stuff like that. So this has to be taught.
Yeah.
Otherwise you get hurt, you can't progress, and worst of all, as you said, you break mentally and you stop training.
You can only commit to so many workout plans, so many diets, so many things,
before you quit.
Because at some point you're going to prove yourself that you're not capable of succeeding.
Yeah.
And you know what? Yes. If you think you're not capable of succeeding, you will not succeed.
What you're teaching. What you're teaching yourself is, I can't.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
So
100%.
they're going to get you a 6-week stuff that's going to get X results, and then you'll quit. But they make the life of people like me so much harder, because now you're showing up to my gym with a brown belt you didn't earn, and my blue belts are going to tap you. And then you're going to feel really bad about yourself, which I really don't want. But you need to be taught humility, because you showed up going, oh, I can do this, I can do that. Yeah, but then you get destroyed. And so those people quit, which is where I get enraged. By the way, that has happened a lot in Jiu-Jitsu. John Danaher at his gym had brown belts coming, getting tapped left and right by blue belts, and those guys quit because they realize I suck. No, you're not at that level, which is not the same. So, but that belt that you had was not. Yes, you were giving it too fast, too soon. You did not earn. You're not really a brown belt. But the problem is they felt good at that moment. But when the moment of realization comes, it will crush you.
Oh yeah.
And playing defense is not being crushed. That's what defense is.
Yeah.
Defense is don't get the other. I don't care if you. Yes, you can score 60 maybe, but you don't want the other team to score 70. Right. So defense is like you're not getting crushed. You learn to bend but not break. Right. So when there's a plateau, you bend. You don't break. But that's only understood once you know defense. Defense is understanding the point of bending but not breaking. That it's about winning. Sometimes you get hit, you counter, you do that, and then you come back and you build your offense and everything. It's not throwing haymakers in the hope that you land once. And if you don't, you get knocked out. And you go like, yeah, but I'm like a high. No, to win, over time, you need defense.
Yeah.
That's the sustainability that we need in training. And you have a lot of people have not learned it. And I'm not talking to my coaches. This podcast is not for you, my coaches, or coaches listening to this. It's for their clients. Really.
Yeah.
And by the way, your clients will never listen to this podcast. So in a way, what I'm trying to do is to show you where the industry is going and what it's doing to you. It's basically making people show up at your gym with an idea of an offense that is a fucking scam.
Well, and it's very important to have their point of view, because you will be able to
hopefully to adjust.
But to also know how to approach talking to them better, because if you kind of know their perspective and the lies that they've been told, you can anticipate a little bit by starting with kind of derailing that idea first.
Because
right?
the reason I go into all this also is this is what the Strongfit system will be. It'll be building defense. That's why the sandbag workout, the rope pull, the sled, because that's how you build defense. Yeah. That's the performance box, that's the movement box, that's the S pyramid, it's all that. It's going to be through the Strongfit system we build. So, and this is why I say Strongfit, CrossFit, Hyrox is with Strongfit, we're building the defense. Because if you're good at Strongfit, you can do CrossFit and Hyrox. You can murder Hyrox if you're good at Strongfit. Because long distance rope pull, long distance farmer's carry and everything, you would laugh doing it.
Yeah.
The point of all that is Strongfit will build you a strong defense, and defense wins championships. Then you can do the fancy stuff to win games.
Yeah.
But championships are won through defense. Like the sandbag and everything will allow you to go in deep waters in the fourth quarter and outwill everybody. So that's what we want to do with the Strongfit system, is build defense.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Oh, yeah, it is my birthday. Thank you. Still 47.
Forever.
Bye.